Your Journey to Healing, Reaching Women with a Desperate Cry is an 8-week Zoom seminar in which Kamala and Winston help women to start living their best life by rediscovering the image of God in their life. Kamala, a licensed marriage and family therapist, joins her husband of 16 years, an ordained pastor, to marry the clinical and the spiritual. You will begin living your best life filled with love, joy, and peace. Register at kwministries.net for this life-changing seminar.
So anxious resistant. So remember there were 4 categories, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anxious resistant kids were on the opposite end of the spectrum. They didn't have a lot of self-confidence. They really clung to their caregivers, whether it's parents. When I say caregivers, I mean parents, grandparents, just old people in their lives who were, really part of that initial bonding experience. For these kids, they tended to have really exaggerated emotional reactions to stuff, but they also kept the distance from their peers. How did this translate into adulthood? That translated into anxious, preoccupied adults. Mm-hmm. And so they kind of formed less secure bonds with partners and feel really desperate for love and affection.
God is patient. God is kind. God is long-suffering. God never fails. God always hopes. God always trusts. God always perseveres. God doesn't envy. God doesn't boast. God doesn't seek his own, but is always seeking what's best for you. God rejoices in the truth.
That's right.
God doesn't define love. God demonstrates love.
Hey, Pastor, I finished the book last night. Oh my goodness. Man, I'm gonna have my niece read it some more today. But I couldn't put it down. What a powerful read. Your daughter did a phenomenal job in that writing. That was so good. Oh, the story was so, I could put myself in it in so many different ways, and wow, it was well written. I mean, I could not put it down. I was up with that book till midnight last night. I was like, whoa, I'm not putting it down. I was like, I wanted more. And I really love how she incorporates her spiritual life and the choices that she makes.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Monday night with KW Ministries. We are, as usual, super excited to be here with you. Super excited. Now, guys, I want to start off, because we always start off talking a little bit about KW Ministries and why we're even here. Before we even say a word about the why, I'm going to tell you the how of KW Ministries.
Like that.
www.kwministries.net. That's the whole point. Okay, maybe it's not the whole point, but that's the whole point of us being here. We want for you to check out our website. We want for you to check out our products. We want for you to check out some of the life-changing things that we've been doing. Tell us about KW Ministries.
I like my business development partner.
Somebody's got to peddle the product, man.
Good evening, everyone. We're really excited to be here tonight. KW Ministries was born out of our own desperate cry. So our mission is to reach people with a desperate cry. Kamala and I had desperate cries in our marriage, in our family, and we've always just talk about a desperate cry we've had in our marriage, but we've had other desperate cries.
For sure.
Desperate cry at work, desperate cry.
For sure.
We spent an hour some time ago talking about death in the family. We've had several desperate cries. And what we have said, well, we have a desperate cry. Others have a desperate cry.
So you might be wondering, what is this desperate cry that we keep talking about? Everybody in their life has experiences that they go through that are challenging to them, experiences that almost define and shape who they become later on. And so we all go through these experiences at different phases, different times in our life, in different ways. And through that growth, we found that, hey, this may be an opportunity for us to be able to get together. We talk about how we're growing and changing. You talk about how you're growing and changing, and then maybe we all grow and change together.
Yes, that's the whole point.
I see Stacy is on. Hey, Stacy.
I thought she wasn't going to be on tonight. I thought she was going to be at work. Thanks, Stacy. You're so cool. You're so awesome. Don't get fired now. But we're so grateful for everyone that has been here with us, that has been on week after week. So real quick, let's highlight two products tonight. Stacy's on. All right. Thanks, Stacy. We really appreciate you. Tonight we want to highlight this devotional, a journey with Jesus through the Gospel of John. A journey with Jesus through the Gospel of John. It's right there in our store. Kamala said it at kwministries.net. And want to talk a quick second from this work for real food. Work for real food. Don't waste your life. This is page 51. Don't waste your life just trying to get and accumulate stuff. Don't waste your life just trying to get and accumulate stuff. And that day's devotional, or that morning's devotional, spend the time talking about what real food is, what really matters. And as a matter of fact, Kamala, I think that's a good segue. I know we're going to talk about Ari's book also, but that's a good segue into tonight's program.
Yes,
friendship.
It is.
Because that's a real food also, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So it's funny that you were saying, the journey through John kind of talks about believing in God.
Yeah, that's what we're
saying. And I think that's super important. Just as you're reading that section talking about, don't just focus on getting stuff, because at the end of the day, stuff isn't enough.
But it says don't waste your life just accumulating stuff.
Because we can get material possessions, we can get money, cars, we can get clothes, we can get all of these things, but at the end of the day, does it fulfill us? Does it sustain us?
That's right.
Does it keep us going?
That's right.
Short answer, no.
Right.
No, it doesn't.
Right. So we would encourage you to head over to our store and grab that devotional. And of course, as we say, reaching with a desperate cry, our daughter, because of her illness, she was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. She wrote a nice book, Reaching Children with a Desperate Cry, Her Journey to Healing. And I think you wanted to read some things.
Of course, we're parents, so we're super proud of her.
I'm biased. Just to be honest.
I don't know. I think she did a pretty good job.
She did, but I'm biased. That's okay.
So there's a part of this book that I feel like it's not just for kids. This part of the book, I think we can all really relate to. This is what she says. She's talking about the idea that from her perspective, the fear of growing up and not really wanting to do things that everybody else is doing. She says this thing that's really, really profound. She says, well, I believe my fear of growing up is keeping me from doing dangerous and questionable things. It's keeping me from knowing things that could hurt me and wanting to do things that could compromise me. it's like a blade of grass in a sidewalk crack. Good coming from the bad. And when you think of that imagery, right, you think of broken sidewalks. And sometimes when you think of broken sidewalks, you think of areas that are dilapidated, places that are torn down, places that are not really kept up. But that's life.
That's life.
Pushing through those cracks. So when you say good coming out of the bad, yeah, it could look like, man, I'm really fearful of what's going to come next. But maybe this fear is useful. Maybe this fear in that context helps me to not make bad decisions.
What doesn't break me makes me.
Yeah.
All right. So please head over to our store. One more thing, we want to give away something tonight. We want to give away a really cool gift tonight. And it's called the Unlearn Bundle. The Unlearn Bundle. Now, it's $12 in our store, but we want to give it to a winner tonight. And how you win is you participate. So you're going to ask our guests questions. You're going to talk to us, and let's make it fun. We don't want to just sit here. We want to have a lot of fun. You participate. And then at the end, Anna Kay is going to put your name in a raffle, and when the wheel spins, wherever it stops, you get it. And all you have to do is fill out the form, and we will tell you how to get it. Now,
here's the super thing about the Unlearn Bundle. So there's a couple of things that are built in there, right? There is a poster built in. There are digital stickers. There's also a digital notebook. Okay, why is this cool? So the Unlearn Bundle is about, you know how we've learned all of these things over life. They're not necessarily true.
Things.
Toxic
You're
thoughts,
not good
negativity.
Enough. You're ugly.
Exactly.
You can't do it.
The Unlearn Bundle gives us an opportunity to use these digital stickers, really motivational thinking, motivational thoughts to help to turn that thinking around. Hence the name, the Unlearn Bundle.
And so somebody can win that tonight. And if you don't win it, of course, you can head over to our store and grab it there. Yes.
Real quick.
Yes.
I think it's important to say that the Unlearn Bundle was developed by not the one and only
Miss Anna Kay Fagan. Yes. And as Kamala say that, without her, none of this really happens. So we're really grateful to her. All right, we are Kamala and I are extremely excited. We've been excited about all of our guests. Okay, so let's be clear. From our first night to now, we've been excited. We've had a wonderful conversations with all of our guests. But I am especially excited about our guests tonight, who we will go through this journey of friendship, because Carl has been my friend for over 20 years. And we have a surprise guest for you later on. And the reason why I brought her up now is because she had posted on Facebook once. She said, if we have been friends for over a certain amount of years, we're cousins. So Carl and I are not friends. We're not cousins. We're brothers, okay? One of the best friends that you could ever ask for. Oh, let me introduce him. I apologize. Carl is an ordained Seventh-day Adventist pastor. He pastors in the state of New Jersey. He has two amazing children. I was going to say adult children, but they're not quite adults yet. They're taking his head. Carl is one of the, I'll tell you a quick story to introduce him. I went to Oakwood. I'm a year ahead of him at Pine Ford. We went to high school. And I went to Oakwood. So I could go to Oakwood before him. Well, we have something at Pine Forge called College Days, where all the seniors get on a bus and drive down to Oakwood and spend the week there. My freshman year, when College Days was coming up, I told my intro to ministry teacher, Dr. James Doggett, about Carl. And I said, I promise you, when you meet him, you will know him. He said, what do you mean by that, Winston? What do you mean? I said, I promise you, when you meet him, you won't have to talk to him, you will know him. Monday morning, I go to class. Dr. Doggett calls me up and he says, I met him. I said, I told you. He's that person that fills the room with light. He's that person. He's super smart. When we were in math class, he was teaching us. He was teaching us and the teacher. I hope he's not watching. Carl is kind. He's a preacher. That's not what we're going to talk about tonight, but that is true. He's a preacher, and I'm excited, Christine, that we get to talk about this journey of friendship together. And so we're going to take a quick break to ask you to remind you of some products that we have, and you should go over there. And then when we come back, my friend, my brother, we're going to talk about a journey through friendship.
Don't hesitate to jump onto the store while we're on our ad.
And please ask someone to join us. All right. We're excited to have Pastor Brewer. Oh, there he is.
There we go. All right. So we're talking about friendship tonight. And so I want to kind of start off this way. We started by saying Pastor Brewer, but I feel like since we're talking about friendship, that maybe we get to dispense with the formalities. What do you think?
Sounds good. I don't like pastor. My mother did.
All right. So, I mean, when I think about friendship, Carl, I think about relationships that span the test of time, relationships that are meaningful, relationships that stretch us, that grow us, that challenge us. And when I think of friendship and I think of the direction that we're going to go tonight with you guys, I feel like you guys have a story to tell tonight about friendship and how it's stretched and grown and done all of those great things. Carl, tell us about what's your definition of friendship?
Wow, I appreciate it. First, let me just say I'm so glad to be on with you this evening. And hello, everybody who is watching. And the only reason that Dr. Doggett knew who I was, I'm the loudest person always. I have a very loud, that's really all it is. Very loud. It protrudes. Everyone can hear me. That's all that is. So, for me, when I think about friendship, I think really about the moments of when you're going through difficulty, hard times. The Bible often, we're reminded that it's one thing when you're going through good times. Everybody got friends. Remember the prodigal son. Everybody wants to be your boy. When you got money, when you're popular, when everything is going well. But the minute that difficulty arises, that's when you really get to see who's a friend. Kind of like when you go to war and then all of a sudden you turn around like, who got my back? Like everybody got your back when it's peacetime and it's war and people about to die and hard times they're around you. Then it's like, who got my back then? And so for me, I really look at I try to be support to everyone I can. I try to be loving and kind to everyone I can. But I'm clear that when I'm going to name someone as a friend, it's because there's probably a difficulty that they were with me through. I knew that they had my back through some difficulty. So, that it's a reciprocated kind of relationship. It's not just, you look out for someone else, but, they're there for you when you need them as well.
So, and I think, Carl, here's a good transformative moment. You just said that when you think of a friend, you think of someone who there's some point in your life where you can reflect and see where they were there. Mine, for example, when I started Pine Forge, it was a really, really, really rough experience for me. And you and Mark and Marvin were really, really, really there for me. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have continued. Here's what I heard you say, is that we shouldn't go through struggles by ourselves.
Absolutely.
Can you say some more about that?
Absolutely, man. God he loves us so much, and he did not make us to be solo creatures. Like, it is literally impossible for humans to exist in isolation. We have to exist in community. In fact, there's some things that literally can't happen unless there are more than one of us. Notable, of course, is reproduction, right? You can't reproduce by yourself. But whenever we're going through something, the whole idea is that we go through with others, that we don't struggle by ourselves, we don't go through difficulty by ourselves, that we need to have those with us to support us, hold us up in the dark moments and the difficult moments, to help sustain us. And sometimes people say, well, I got God, and that is true. God is with us, but God sends humans to really give a human touch. The hugs of God are usually the hugs of man. The encouraging words of God, sometimes it's scripture, but sometimes it's the encouraging words of a friend. And very often we interpret, or we recognize God, calling us on the phone, when it's really, God calls through a friend. It's out, and that's God reaching out to us. So, praise God. I give obviously credit and praise to God for His love for us, but He loves us through our friends. And so I praise God for you, for Kamala. I praise God for your friendship, but I give credit to God, because God is the places the people in your lives who you can truly call a friend. So
I want to point out a couple of the comments that we're having coming in, starting with Stacy talking about stick-to-itiveness. Girl, I don't even know how you knew how to spell that.
Word. That's a good word.
I love it.
And she said, right.
Yeah.
And I think, Carl, you expressed that in if you go to war, who's going to have your back?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Stacy talks about this idea of stick-to-itiveness.
Christine followed up with, friendship is a reciprocated kind of support, and that we have to exist in community. That's how we're created. And I see where Desireen, hey mom, followed up with that.
Can I comment about the reciprocated?
Yes.
Because, and of course, in my profession, I'm a pastor, right? And as a pastor, there's a lot of one-way interaction. There's a one-way support. People unload all of their problems on pastor. People share all of their burdens with pastors and all of this, and that's fine. That's the part of the profession. That it comes with the territory, but that's one way. It's not reciprocated, and it's okay. I'm not friends with everyone that I serve, because that's the nature of the profession. It's one way. You're giving, you're supporting, you're helping others. For me, that's why it is all the more valuable and important to have those who also pour in.
Yeah.
Because there's constantly this stream of energy being exerted to serve and help other people. And I'm sure that's the case in every kind of helping profession. So if I could just give a strong word of encouragement to those who are in helping professions, therapists, counselors, that kind of thing, or people who serve in those kinds of capacities, you definitely need to have a good set of friends that you lean on, because you can't keep pouring out. You will be empty. You need others who pour into you and who support you as well. It's got to be reciprocated.
Christine highlighted your thoughts. The hugs of God are the hugs of man. I'll never forget. Stacy, who's watching, Carl, was on a few weeks ago, and she was told, she was in her bed, and she was told she was diagnosed with cancer.
Mercy.
Her husband works, is that we're supposed to be at work, supposed to be at school, so forth and so on. The moment she gets that call, her husband opens the door. No. The moment when you said the hugs of men, or the hugs of God, or the hugs of men, that's a story that just flooded me when she said, when she got that call. The moment she got that call, her husband opened the door, and we both agreed. The three of us agreed that was God walking into the room, and she said, yes, you hear that news and you might not see it then, but when you reflect, you realize that was God being there for her in the person of Dean. And so, yes, the hugs of God are the hugs of man. Carl, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, all the more reason why whenever you feel like God is kind of putting it on your heart to do something, go ahead and do that, because you don't know when that person, you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what they need. And God is trying to give them a hug or give them an encouragement. You just never know, so.
Yes. Now, let me quickly say, Kamal, before you ask. So far, we only have about 3 people interacting on here. Again, we have a really, really good prize. It's called the Unlearn Bundle. The Unlearn Bundle that we want to give away, but you're only going to get it if you participate. And so please ask Carl your questions, ask us questions, and let's have a good time talking with each other. You're about to say something more.
So I was thinking about, you guys have made some really specific definitions surrounding friendship and how you get to kind of carry that label, if you will, of being friends with each other. So my question to you guys, I'm hoping that you guys will kind of chat together with our audience about, is how did you get to that place of actually now being able to refer to each other as friends? You started with a story, but we didn't get to the rest of it.
Well, while Carl's thinking, I can tell you my favorite memory of Carl Brewer. So, and I hope this wasn't the story you were going to tell. Scary. We were at camp meeting, Allegheny East Conference. We were at Allegheny East Conference camp meeting. And, you read in the Bible about people praying all night and so forth and so on. Carl Brewer and I, we didn't have money. Now the difference with Carl is his mom was on campus. So he didn't need somewhere to stay. He could have stayed with his mom in their tent. They had the, so forth and so on. I didn't have anywhere to stay. And so Dean Perry, who was then dean, I don't know if he's still dean there, Carl.
No, man, long retired.
Okay. He put us up in the gym. We had the whole the gym in the, what's this called, a gym? The rec room. The rec room in Handy Hall. We had the whole rec room, all of camp meeting. Kamala, one Saturday, was it Saturday night, Carl? One night, Carl and I prayed all night long. When I say we prayed all night long, we prayed, and I don't remember now, Carl, what it was that we were praying about, but we prayed and cried out to God all night long. And we were friends before that, but I think that kind of spiritually cemented our friendship.
We were praying. Well, there's a couple things I remember about that night. So one, I remember what sermon was preached at what tent. We went to the youth tent, and the preacher was Dr. Emil Peeler. So shout out to Dr. Peeler, who was preaching. And Dr. Peeler was preaching about casting out, Jesus casting out the demons, or a demon. And I don't remember the whole sermon, but I remember one phrase he said that will forever stick out to me. He said, "Too often we spend time glancing at Jesus and gazing at our problems. Instead, we ought to gaze upon Jesus and glance at our problems." I'll never forget that. I use that all the time. We spend way too much time looking at our problems instead of Jesus. But I remember also we were praying partly because, at least from my perspective, I felt like, I don't know why in the world God still wanted to use me, use us in ministry, use us as religious folk, religious leaders, etc. And it was like, man, we are so not worthy of this.
I don't think I wanted to say that.
And in some ways it was like, God, I don't even think I'm worthy to be a Christian. And you talk about being a preacher and so
Yeah.
nah, forget this. I could think of several mistakes even in that camp meeting that I had
What we had made.
shown up. If only the walls could talk. Praise the that God keeps our secrets. Amen.
Amen.
But we spent a lot of time confessing and just praising God and for His mercy and His grace. Kamala, you know this already about your husband, but one of the things that always cements us. Winston is a person. If there's something I'm excited about, Winston is probably more excited, even though it ain't even happening to him. He's more excited. And we just start shouting together. And if I'm down, I'm not a crying kind of person, but if I'm down, he'll be even more down than I am and stuff and depressed. I'm like, dude, relax, man. It's not that bad. I'll be like, man, I ain't even get to the worst part. You already, but the Bible talks about a friend being someone that will rejoice with you, who will when you're down, they're down with you, so forth, and that's kind of been how our friendship has been, from my perspective, been cemented. I know I can always go to Winston, and he's not going to say, well, listen, I got my own issues right now. No, if I got something going on, Winston he's gonna bear it with me. If I'm celebrating, even if he's down, he's gonna celebrate with me. He loves to celebrate. He starts shouting
So, Carl,
over your car.
Carl, Carl, Dr. Paul is on here.
All right, hey, listen, Doc, man, Doc, I love you, Doc, man. It's been too long. And last time I was in Alabama, Doc, I did not get to see you. I need to see you when I go down in December, man.
Well, when Doc was on, we were talking about naps a few weeks ago. I was trying to get you to come in to surprise him, but you're busy. All right, so COVID has, and this is I want to ask you, Kamala, and you and Carl to go back and forth on this one. Doc says he will pay our way to come down, Carl.
And listen, say the word.
I told him that.
And I am not exaggerating. I'm not joking, not lying. Say the word. You give me a date and time, Doc. I will gladly, anytime.
COVID has prevented people, Carl, from touching, prevented people from, there was the online church piece, there's all of that. But how important is it, in your opinion, from a pastoral perspective, that people are able to touch, people are able to hug, people are able to be present?
Interesting you say that, and before you said it has prevented people. I was driving, so when COVID hit, I was pastoring in Newark, New Jersey. And for those who aren't familiar with Newark, New Jersey, they call it the concrete jungle. It's Brick City. It is very, very urban, and it is also, in some people's mind, a place that is not not the softest kind of place. People are not naturally into hugging and touching. I used to walk the streets and be like, "Hey, what's up?" And people look at you like, "What's wrong with you?" I do that all the time. I love it. So when COVID hit, I was driving down the streets of Newark, and a church had set up hugging stations. And I said, this is genius, and I'm going to get out and get a hug just because I just thought it was genius. And I could use the hug too. They set up plexiglass so that, you don't breathe on each other. And they also, obviously gave a mask and so forth. And it's outside. So it was outside. There was plexiglass, but you could reach under and hug each other. Your faces obviously you're not breathing on each other, but you could reach under the plexiglass to hug each other. And when I just thought, that is such a simple outreach, a simple ministry, but oh so needed. And they were just advertising anyone who needs a hug, who needs physical touch, come to our hugging station. I think that the pandemic is exacerbating the isolation, the sense of isolation and loneliness that people feel. Um, our society already was becoming more isolated and lonely because of technology. I mean, look at the fact that right now we're doing somewhat of an interview, but we're nowhere near each other. We're in different states, hundreds of miles away. It used to be you interview people face to face. I could have reached out and hugged the two of y'all when I came. But technology is what it is, and this is the world that we live in. But with the pandemic, we're more isolated and separated, and thus the loneliness is even more pronounced. And I think that it is accelerating the feelings of loneliness and accelerating the mental anguish that people are feeling, the depression and so forth. And I think that we need to look for ways as best we can. I mean, what that church is doing is fantastic. Need to look for ways that we can, have more human interaction, because you need that. You need human interaction, touching, hugging, actually looking at someone's face and
Yes.
right? A smile. I have forgotten that there is a such thing as a smile, because we all ask stuff. It's a shame. I often joke at my church. I say, it's good to see everyone's eyes. But it'd be great if we can see a smile. I mean, that's everyone coming with masks on and stuff, which is, I understand. But you can lower it for a hot second so everyone can smile at each other or something,
Carl, Stacy said something here that I want to ask Kamala to say a quick word about. And Philetta, I'm going to come to you and come to what Philetta said in a second. Stacy said, it's
a necessity of life. Even in the nursing files, we're told and taught the therapeutic touch for our patients.
And that's what I wanted to ask you about, Kamala, is as Carl spoke about that center that set up the hugging stations, how important from a therapeutic standpoint is that touch?
I was thinking about and kind of pondering on Stacey's statement from the moment I saw it pop up while Carl was talking about just what that church had done and how, that impacted people. And I found myself thinking back to like research studies that, from back in the day. This was back when research practices were a little bit questionable. But one of the things that they did was that, they did this study with babies. And they put one set of babies in this setting where, they were given food, they were given the nourishment that they needed, but they were deprived of just that physical touch. But then they put babies on the other side and they gave them, everything that they needed, including the physical touch. And what they figured out is that you could find all the nutrients in the exact same amounts. You could give those children everything that they needed from a nutritional standpoint. But if they didn't get that physical touch, they did not thrive. They did not survive. And so then they did the opposite end of the spectrum, people who were in later stages of life. And the same thing, they found that physical touch by itself was one of the things that factored into longevity. So when we see this lack of physical touch, this lack of being able to connect, this lack of being able to socialize, it has a lot of impacts on, you said it, Carl, our mental health, but it also has impacts on our physical health. So from a clinical standpoint, I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, this pandemic is traumatic in the sense that it's robbing us. It has robbed us in a very big way of our longevity of life. It's robbed us of our mental health and stability. And we do have to think of creative ways to continue to connect and impact each other.
So I have a surprise guest here, Carl. Good night, Elder Glenn. Philetta pointed out, she said earlier, amen, good friend is better than pocket money.
Pocket.
Yes. So pocket money, Carl, is a Jamaican phrase. Good friend, but the saying goes, good friend better than pocket money. So pocket money is like what you get, it's like allowance. It's like what you have when you're going out, right? And they say if you have a good friend, a really good friend, it's better than $100 that you're gonna have in your pocket. Brother Glenn says physical touch is a healing method for everyone. And Stacey said, especially our children. Some don't know how to be sociable at all. Carl, I have a 4-year-old here, Zach, who does not know how to interact with other 4-year-olds because of this pandemic. So that is so true.
What you just said, and Kamala, you said it as well. This is it's going to be a trauma that we're going to then, keep repeating, because we're creating a whole generation who are raised in this, in this world that we're unfortunately that we're in right now and have created and so forth. And that means that a whole generation will not know normal human interactions. The way that that I would say we ought and that we need, and that will have very deleterious effects on the whole of society. And we're gonna reap from this, boy. Unfortunately,
I think that I think the issues are forthcoming. I don't think we've seen the half of what's going to happen from this.
Yeah,
which I think is why having this conversation is so important. I'm thinking to the people who have been kind of following along with us for a while, and kind of the conceptualization, how they're thinking about, reaching people with a desperate cry, a journey through friendship. Well, why that? Because really and truly, we're in a space right now where learning how to maintain and nurture friendships is going to be so important to our life.
Well, we have a surprise guest. She's here, and let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll bring her in. And Carl, I'll say when she comes in. So let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. So this is my friend Kimberly. Hi, Kimberly. How are you?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Kimberly.
Hi.
We can hear you. Doc, your voice is a little bit gone because you were screaming and shouting for your 4-year-old that was just blazing. No, she's not 4. She ran 4 races and 4 all of them. And you were just
She ran 5.
She ran 5 on one of them. And so congratulations to her on that. Thanks for hanging out with us. When we were doing this, when we thought of when we asked Carl to do this, I wanted to invite you because you and I have been friends for over 20 years, and you know of Carl and my friendship. So what I wanted to do was, you sent me a picture the other day. You should have seen that coming. I wish I'd given it to you to put up here. You sent me a picture the other day. I was at Pine Forge and I was picking up Carl and I was holding it in my hand. And that's the second time you sent me that picture over the years. Tell me what's going through your mind when you see that. And share with us, Kim, the importance of friendship to you. But real quick, Kim is an educator. And before you came in, we were actually talking about how the pandemic has ruined relationships and has prevented people from having that closeness and that touch. So share with us what's in your mind when you see that picture, and then the importance to you from a educational perspective of the importance of friendships.
Okay. Well, when I see that picture, first of all, I think it's really funny. you're holding him. But I do, of course, I know some backstory from the picture. You guys have been great friends since you were in since you guys were in academy. And just shows, to me, it represents a closeness, a bond. Not everybody lets someone pick them up like that. Not everybody tries to pick somebody up like that. So that's what the picture represents to me.
It shows I'm not that heavy.
And not everyone lets someone take a picture of someone. So someone like that.
There was a lot of vulnerability and trust in that.
Yeah. What was the second question?
From an educational perspective, how important are friendships?
Oh, they're very important, which, it's becoming real evident. I think I did hear some of the what you guys were talking about concerning how the pandemic has affected our children. And so I have a 9, 8, and 3-year-old. She'll be 4 on Monday. And yeah, they haven't seen normal school. I mean, they're pandemic kids. They haven't seen normal school. I mean, they're homeschooled now. They're doing virtual school last year. The year before that was cut off, and they were in kindergarten and first grade at that point. And so they don't know what normal school looks like. So I can see in them, the socialization. Like today, I took them. We've been sick. I don't know if you can hear my voice, but we've been a little bit sick. So we were home today, but I was like, we need fresh air. So I realized my kids couldn't play basketball, which is a shame because I play basketball. I played my entire life, but they don't know how to play basketball. I said, well, mommy's going to teach you guys how to play basketball. And so there was a child there who was already playing, same age as my children. I'm like, well, ask him if we can play with him or if he wants to play with us. And they were just frozen. Like, what do I say? I said, say, hi, my name is Noah. What is your name? Would you like to play with us? And he just froze. And so then I had to talk for him, but the socialization's not there. They don't know how to socialize with children their age. And so they don't, I'm like their best friend, which is, I mean, kind of cool, I guess. But I mean, they need that. So I was, I've already enrolled them in school for next year because, though I think they've gotten an excellent education this year. We were able to get someone to privately tutor them. It was excellent. That social piece can't be substituted. So, yeah.
Carl, Daniel Woods is asking, what are some qualities of a good friend?
Qualities of a good friend. That's a great question. Well, first of all, honesty. Honesty, like you can't really have any kind of communication without having honesty, because that's literally the basis. If I don't know for sure that what you're saying is some kind of reality, or at least you believe it is reality, then there's no way that we can have any kind of communication. To me, at least, loyalty is like, that kind of goes hand in hand with friendship, because a friend and loyalty doesn't imply that you stick with someone and like when they're in the wrong and you're like a yes person. No, you're loyal, but you want their best, and you're committed to their best interests. And so even when it costs you something as a friend, you're still going to look out for their best interests. You're going to give of yourself for their best interests. You're loyal to them. I always, and I've said this a million times, Winston, every church I'd have pastored, I'd have said this about you. But I said, listen, if ever I needed $1 million tomorrow, the first person I'm calling is Winston. After I talk to the Lord, I'm calling Winston, because I know Winston is a friend who he's going to do whatever he can to support, to look out, to help, whatever the case. In fact, Winston might not even ask, well, how did you get into $1 million hole and why you need it tomorrow? He's probably not even going to ask those questions. He's probably just going to be like, all right, you need $1 million by tomorrow? Okay.
Do it. Figure it out.
Yeah, let's figure it out. But I think honesty, loyalty, that sort of thing is absolutely integral in having a good friendship. I think that too often friendships begin I shouldn't say friendships, but associations begin and stay at the level of personality. And I think that is a very superficial way, but unfortunately a very common way that people, create quote unquote friendships. So people have people that they like to hang out with. That's their fun buddy, blah, 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 etc. But they don't have meaningful friendship where someone can actually say, hey, listen, man, when you need someone to get a prayer up to the Lord, this is a person that you can go to because they know you and they know God, and they know what is in your best interest. They know what's going on in your life, and they're committed to you. And again, as I said before, someone who sticks with you even in the difficult circumstances, and that's why loyalty and so important. It's not just a personality. I think if anyone who knows us knows we have very different kinds of personality. we're very different people. But I think we have a blast together too. I think it works to support each other. And I'd like to think if you were in a bind, other than of course your wife, you'd probably call me as well. I am going to ask a whole bunch of questions because that is the kind of person I am. I am not going to just say $1 million tomorrow. Sure. No.
Say honestly. No, but Carl, I think that's the crucial thing about our friendship is that there is this balance. There is this, we're honest with each other. And it doesn't matter if Carl is wrong or right, I'm going to have his back, period. It doesn't mean I'm not going to tell him he's wrong, but I'm going to have his back, period. Or I'm right. Kim, go ahead, Kim.
We've had plenty of arguments fighting over...
Oh no one argues more than Carl and I. We remember when Dr. Paul is on here. Remember when Dr. Paul sent us to Deckard, Carl, and every Sabbath morning, all the way we fought all the way to, and then we got in the car and go keep church. We fought all the way. All right, the comments are coming up. Kim, before we read some of the comments, would you tell us some qualities of friendship? What are some of the qualities that are needed to have a good friendship from your perspective?
Oh, wow. Interesting question. I actually found a paper that was written about the 7 qualities that bring people together, make good friends, and I can't find it. But they were saying, but it was saying things like, sometimes, common goals, of course, common enemy. Sometimes you like people that look like on your level. If you think you're cute, you want somebody who looks cute too. I mean, it's stuff like that they had research to back that kind of stuff up. I can't find the paper, but for me, like you said, honesty, loyalty. I mean, it's not too different from what Carl said, but loyalty, honesty, consistency. I mean, I know everyone's not going to be there, whenever you need them, but someone who's, going to be able to follow through with the things they said they're going to be able to do, or, be able to keep the word, I guess. Understanding, compassion, just to name a few.
Now, Miranda is your cousin, but I don't know if I'd be wrong in saying she's also your best friend.
We're very close. Yeah.
Right. You're very close. What has kept you guys so close over all these years? Because I know it's your cousin, but I have a lot of cousins. Carl has a lot of cousins. By the way, Carl, just so you know, LT's on here. I don't know why Carl's wearing a dad hat. So I just want for you to know LT's on here, Carl. Oh, we just lost him. Give me right back. Oh, there he is. This is what we know. Your brother is on here mouthing you, Carl.
My brother's on.
Yeah, Lawrence.
I was about to say, when I said which one, I knew immediately it's got to be Lawrence. Yeah. How about Lawrence? Yeah, you go and get married, and I've seen this man like once in like months now. Don't come out to me. You can come on the show. How about you can come to the crib,
man? So, Kim, what has kept you guys so close over the years? Because I know you don't live in the same city. What has kept you guys so close over the years?
Well, we're what you call them, crib babies. So, we've been, our parents grew up together, so we grew up together right along with them. And Miranda's just one of the most positive people I've ever met. I mean, she's going to find something positive to say about everything. I'm struggling with this class. Oh, you can do it. If anybody can do it, you can do it. I mean, if I need to pick her up, she's just one of the most positive people that you'd ever come to meet. And I hope I'm that to her too. But, just working at it, really. Working at, making sure I check in with her from time to time, see how she is, see how her children are, see what's going on in her life. We don't talk often, but I know that if I needed something and I could reach her, because she's hard to reach, I know she'd have my back. And, if I needed to pick me up, she'd take time to do that too. So.
Kimberly, what I heard you say is not just positivity, but the consistency, the intentionality is what I heard you say in that. Mm-hmm. And I want to scroll back a little bit. There was a comment earlier, I think, from Danielle. She said your question was about does distance matter in a friendship? And I feel like you really touched on that just now when you said the intentionality piece.
Yes.
Because we can be far worlds apart, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if we take that time and energy to give to that relationship, even if it's not every day,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that the contact that I've made is something authentic, it's something that's real, it's not superficial, then those kind of things I think help to stand the test of time and test of distance, really, when it comes to I really like you saying that.
And do we agree? Go ahead. Kim.
Oh, say what?
Go ahead. You're about to say something?
Oh, no, I was just going to say too, intentionality is important. Another one of my friends I've had for many years, since Oakwood, we've been in touch the entire time. They sent me a link. There was another research thing. It was a video saying that I forgot the mathematical equation, but for every year you don't see a friend, like it basically gets harder to kind of reconnect. And so you have to be intentional, basically, to see each other, to talk, all that kind of stuff. But I do, when I think about the friends I've kept in contact with for like over a decade, and we still have a really good, healthy relationship, those are people that, if they're having an event, I'm getting on a plane, I'm going. If they're, if they need something, I got your back, I'm there. Any way I can help, I'm going to be there. But she nailed it. It's intentionality. You have to be intentional, especially for those long distance relationships. Anybody can, keep in contact with someone who you have to see. But for people who meant something to you, but they might be far away for now. The intentionality piece is important.
So, Carl, I was in college and I decided I didn't want to live anymore, and I called you. How important are friendships to keeping somebody alive? How important are friendships to and how does that work? How does friendship help? Well, answer the question. You know what I'm asking.
Yeah. First, let me just say, man, I like we just shifted from a very light.
I looked at the time and it's 9:52.
And I was, and I could be like very inappropriate. Like my first thought was a joke, and I was like, no, I shouldn't make a joke. Wrong timing. But I remember well. I would say that friends remind us that life is more than the stuff you have. It's more than the accomplishments in terms of degrees and in terms of professional accomplishments and so forth. Friends remind us that life is much more than all of that, and it gives more meaning to life, because even after all of that stuff fades, and not to highlight all of the different, famous people and rich people who have, committed suicide and who have, but the reality is you have all the money in the world. That doesn't mean anything. You can be the absolute apex of your craft, and that doesn't have much meaning and validity. Relationships and meaningful relationships is really where life gets its value and meaning from. And so friendships, remind us that that's what life is all about, and it keeps us going when things are difficult, very very dark. It keeps us going, keeps us pushing through.
Go ahead. I was just thinking that there are two things that I would love to add to this kind of working definition that we're making of what constitutes a good friendship. And I think the ability to feel safe, and I think the ability to be vulnerable. If you have those qualities in a friendship, then you're really well on your way.
Talking about, go ahead,
man. That and I agree. Vulnerable. I would probably tie that also with the whole idea of honesty. But boy, the idea of being safe, that is special. Because some people don't really feel like they can be themselves because it's not a safe environment. They're going to get laughed at or mocked. They can't be themselves because it might be too much for the person. All of my friends know I can be a bit much. I think I'm fun most of the time. take
A
it.
bit much.
I can-
I couldn't resist.
So but I think it's awesome that you can be yourself, and it is a safe environment to be you, to just yeah.
Go back real quick, and we're out of time, but go
You
back
see
to
my brother be deep on there? That was
Yeah.
my look at that, man. That brother got bars. Go ahead, Lawrence.
It says, a friend is one who overlooks your broken fence and admires the flowers in your garden. I like that. I do. Christine, how do you respond to a friend who needs your help, and when you
try, they internalize your feedback and later become withdrawn and sad.
You get that question? And either you can answer that. How do you respond to a friend who needs your help? When you try to help them, they internalize your feedback and later become withdrawn and sad.
So first of all, like with most questions, the context matters, and I don't know all of the, what the situation was. But I will say that I think for me, the kind of person I am, I just don't let people go. That's the kind of friend I am. I don't let friends go. I don't, so even though you're like, and I'll just use you and me, if you responded in a way that starts to withdraw yourself, I'm going to make it clear. Look, you can't get rid of me unless you really, unless you're going to cut me off permanently. Like,
we done prayed all night already.
So even when it's, we're upset at each other or whatever the case, okay, then we'll just fight it out. But, and we'll keep going and going until we figure it out. But you're not getting rid of me, because I don't let people go. You know what I mean? You literally have to completely cut me off if you're going to somehow try to end this friendship. It's kind of like the mafia. There's no leaving. There's no leaving. We're friends for life. That's how that works. We're friends for life. So that's just kind of the person I am, and I would, that's how I would respond, especially with you, Winston. That's how I would respond.
Stacy made a comment. Kim, were you going to respond to that?
No, I was just going to go back to what Kamala said about feeling safe. There have been many. Actually, something recently happened with my cousins. Winston knows I have like 50 cousins, but so another set of cousins. They were trying to give me advice that was not solicited. I did not ask, and they try to patch it up with, "I'm telling you this out of love, and I love you," and they put me on Street about whatever. And I didn't feel very safe. I did not want to hear anything they had to say, and I felt a little bit sad and withdrawn. And like I think Stacy or somebody responded to what Christine said, if I'm looking at the comments correctly. She was saying, give people time. So I feel like, after I take time they gave good advice, and I think they meant well. But it was just kind of like, hey, you need to hear this because because I love you and you need to get yourself together. And I was like, you don't know me, but it's because I didn't feel safe, I guess.
No, but what you just said, though, it speaks volumes, because sometimes people don't know the level of their friendship. Like, if you're not that tight, then you shouldn't be given certain advice.
Right.
Received as well. I can say most anything to Winston, and Winston can say most anything to me because of the, the closeness of the relationship. But I got other people who I'm not that close with. We cool. We ain't that cool. And, some stuff might be spoken, and it's like, all right, yeah, okay, and you disregard that stuff. You take it with a grain of salt because they're not that close.
Yeah, it's 9:59, guys, and we don't want to wear out the patience or your patience or the patience of those who are participating. We're sorry that we didn't get to everybody's thought. Stacy said something, and I don't know if we can find it. Don't waste time on stuff. I don't know if you can find that to put up back real quick. And then she hashtagged Carl Mafia friend Mafia for life.
Hashtag Mafia life.
Mafia life. Okay. But then she said, put that thing back up. Don't waste time. Where is it? There it is. Don't waste time on stuff. Build true lifelong relationships. Life is tough. Life is challenging. We can't get through it by ourselves. I couldn't get. You're not supposed to. We weren't created to get. That's right. We weren't created to get through life by ourselves. I asked Carl to come on, and later asked Kim if she'd be our surprise guest, because these are two individuals that have helped me get through life. These are two individuals that have. Kamala has never met you, Kim, and she thinks he knows you.
Listen, like legit, for real.
I remember, well, friends, you can't get through life by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You need someone. And it doesn't have to be a whole bunch of people. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be popular. You don't have to be, but you need someone to help you get through life. If you don't have someone who is a friend to you to help you get through life, would you be a friend to someone? Yeah. Would you please be a friend to someone? Doc, Carl, thank you both so very much for hanging out with us tonight. We're really, really grateful. I'm really grateful for your friendship. And stick around with us. Let's see who wins tonight. And then Nikisha, hi Nikisha, I see you, and that is why they're called friends, to tell us the truth. All right. No man is an island, no man stands alone, Christine. Let's see who wins tonight. Come on in, Anne.
All right, we are back for our regular drum roll. All the commentary has come in, and that is how you get selected for our gift. So, without further ado,
while she's doing that, let's highlight the gift real quick. The gift is Unlearn Bundle. Unlearn Bundle, and this is digital. Stickers.
So what you're gonna get in this bundle? It's a poster, a digital notebook, and a set of digital stickers. I think it's 36 of them actually. And the Unlearn Bundle is all about us learning new ways of thinking, new ways of a new mindset, where we have learned some really kind of toxic things over time. This Unlearn Bundle gives us the opportunity to learn new things and to learn new ways of being. If you'll see it right here on your screen, that's kind of just a snapshot of it. If you do not win it tonight, it's there in our shop for $12. Don't forget the point. Part of the point. Sorry, guys. Part of the point.
That's my business development. But yes, so that's what we want to give you tonight. All right. So Annika is gonna tell us who wins. Simply fill out gold. Well, let's see who wins first, and then we'll
apparently Stacey thinks she's gonna take the prize tonight. Let's see.
Let's go. All right.
Drum roll. Got a lot of great
we should have music. Yeah, we did. We should have music in the background and stuff.
Philetta! Oh! That's what's up, Philly. So here's how you collect your prize.
All right, simply head over to kwministries.net, fill out the Claim Your Prize card. And what is the passcode?
Stacey said I let her in. Unlearn.
Unlearn. And your passcode is Unlearn, Philetta. So head over to kwministries.net, fill out the Claim Your Prize. There it is. And then type in Unlearn. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. Thanks for participating. Carl, Kim, thank you guys. So this means, well, you guys know, this means a really, really, really a lot. Thank you all so very much. Aunt Doreen, thank you so much. Friends are sunshine of life, and Jesus is the best friend anyone can have. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
See you next week.
Don't get off at Carl and Kim.